How to reconnect with your ex after no contact. There's a moment, just after silence ends, when everything feels fragile. You've done the hard part. You pulled away, held your center, gave space. Not just for her to breathe, but for you to remember who you are when you're not constantly reaching. And now, the question rises. Do you reach out? How? What do you say? More importantly, how do you not ruin everything you've silently rebuilt within yourself? This stage, the re-entry after no contact, is one of the most misunderstood and misplayed steps in the process of reconnecting, because if you come in too soft, you'll be overlooked. Come in too strong, and you'll be shut out. And beneath all of it is that quiet fear. What if I say the wrong thing and lose her for good? But this moment isn't about proving anything to her. It's about making sure the man she hears from is a man she recognizes not by his need, but by his calm. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to reach out when the silence ends, not with pressure, not with desperation, but with precision, clarity, and a presence that doesn't ask for attention. It earns it. And before we begin, if you value depth over drama, growth over games, and quiet strength over emotional chaos, this space was built for you. Like this video, subscribe to Stoic Station, and when you're ready, I'll show you how to reintroduce yourself, not as the man who left, but as the one who returned whole. Let's dive in. Part 1. The most grounded way to reach out. Call, text, show up with flowers, or maybe send a messenger pigeon. It sounds funny, but it highlights the confusion many men feel when deciding how to reconnect with an ex after weeks or months of silence. You want to say the right thing, you want to be sincere, but more than anything, you don't want to mess it up. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The worst move you can make is to show up emotionally charged, looking for resolution, validation, or worse, permission to be let back in. That's not strength. That's not leadership. That's panic wearing the mask of effort. You may think a phone call shows courage or maturity, but in reality, it often triggers the exact opposite reaction. It sets off alarm bells. Not because she hates you, but because she's not ready for the weight of that kind of contact. It feels sudden, disruptive, and emotionally loaded. When people are guarding their peace, even well-intentioned closeness can feel invasive. This is where most men go wrong. They try too hard, too soon, and the woman doesn't reject them. She rejects the pressure. So what's the better path? Send a message. A simple, light, intentional message, one that doesn't demand anything, one that comes through the same platform you used to communicate before, whether that's WhatsApp, Instagram, or a simple text. Familiarity matters more than you think. It softens the moment. It makes your presence feel less like an interruption and more like a memory coming home. The power of a message is in its subtlety. You get time to think. You get to send a signal without overwhelming her. There's no demand for real-time response, no expectation to dive into feelings, just a touch point, a whisper, not a shout. Because here's what most men fail to realize: she might not even pick up the phone if you call. Not because she doesn't care, but because part of her is bracing for you to try to convince her, explain yourself, or stir up emotion. She's trying to protect the calm she's built since the breakup. Your role isn't to bulldoze your way back into her life. It's to become the kind of man who gets invited back in, because your energy is calm, steady, and respectful of where she is. Not chasing, not proving, just showing up without noise. Part 2. The 4 rules of that first message. These aren't just helpful suggestions. These are boundaries between progress and sabotage, the silent rules that determine whether your message opens a door or closes it for good. If you ignore them, you're not just risking a weak response, you're risking another month or more of silence. And at this stage, that's not just time lost. That's emotional ground you might never reclaim. The first rule is the one most men break instinctively. Keep it short. Keep it real. When you've been sitting in silence, playing out conversations in your head, it's tempting to unload all of it. Your thoughts, your regrets, your hopes. But that urge isn't strength. It's pressure disguised as vulnerability. Long paragraphs, confessions, or heavy openings like, "I've been thinking a lot about us lately," are not the way back in. That's not how people reconnect. That's how they shut down. You're not here to pour out your heart. You're here to send a signal, clear, simple, and easy to digest. One message, one moment, one quiet knock on the door. You're not building a bridge yet. You're tossing a pebble across the river to see if it echoes back. Second, tone is everything. You may want to know how she's been. You may want to ask real questions, but this isn't the time for that. Don't ask, "How have you been really?" You're not her counselor. You're not even her partner right now. You're the man she once laughed with, the man who could walk into a room and shift her mood with a sentence. That's who she needs to feel in this message. Because the first message, it's not about content. It's about energy. Feeling, and feeling good, is magnetic. If your message makes her smile, laugh, or remember something light and warm, you've succeeded. Don't try to remind her of the pain. Remind her that once, being around you felt effortless. The third rule is counterintuitive, and it goes against every emotional reflex you've built. Don't feed the craving to keep talking. If she replies, and especially if she replies fast, your heart might skip. Your thumbs might twitch. You'll feel the pull to respond immediately, to continue the conversation while the door is cracked open. Don't. That pause is not a loss of momentum. It's the creation of mystery. It's the moment that builds gravity. And gravity, when used wisely, pulls more than words ever could. Be the man who doesn't need to fill silence. Be the man who can hold it, own it, and let it speak for you. That's rare and unforgettable. The fourth rule is simple, but it's the one that separates emotional maturity from emotional neediness. Have a reason to reach out, a reason that isn't loneliness. Don't send, "Hey," don't send, "Just thinking of you." Don't react to her story and pretend that's conversation. Because if the energy behind your message is desperation, she'll feel it instantly. She may not know why it bothers her, but it will. She'll feel the pressure. She'll sense that it's not about the message. It's about the need behind the message. And that makes people pull away. Every message must come from grounded interest, not emotional impulse. It has to carry the energy of curiosity, not craving. A genuine question, a shared memory, a real reason she'd believe you thought of her without attaching meaning to it. Something that has value on its own, even if she doesn't reply. Because what you're doing isn't just reconnecting, it's reintroducing. And the man you reintroduce, he's calm, he's centered, he's not reaching out to get something. He's simply re-entering the space with clarity, not chaos. This is what separates men who reconnect from men who repeat. Those who reconnect build from a foundation of patience, emotional discipline, and intentional action. Those who repeat, they rush in with hope and leave with regret. So remember the 4 rules, not as tactics, but as principles. Keep it short and real. Keep it light and energizing. Control the urge to rush in. And most of all, never message without a reason that honors your self-respect. Because when you lead with clarity, not craving, you remind her that you've changed. And change is the most powerful reintroduction there is. Part 3. Real-world messages that actually work. When you finally break the silence after no contact, what you say matters, but how it makes her feel matters more. The first message shouldn't be about getting answers, reopening the past, or stirring up emotion just for the sake of attention. It should create a moment, a breath of familiarity, a small reminder of who you were together, not in the chaos near the end, but in the ease before that. That's why the best first messages are the ones that ask for nothing, yet offer something: a smile, a spark, or just a shared moment of recognition. One of the simplest, yet most powerful ways to do this is with a meme. Not just any meme, but one that speaks the private language the two of you used to share. Maybe it references a show you both loved, a running joke, or even something absurd that only the two of you would understand. When you send something like, "This popped up and I instantly heard your laugh in my head," had to send it. You're not making a move, you're making a connection. There's no pressure, no implied expectation, and that's what makes it work. She may not laugh at the meme itself, but she'll smile because you remembered something worth remembering. And that moment of emotional safety, that's more powerful than any clever opening line. Another effective message is what I call the "you're the guru" text. Every person wants to feel useful. Every person wants to feel like what they know matters. If you reach out to ask about something she's genuinely good at, something she once lit up while explaining, you're not manipulating her, you're respecting her. Maybe she's a yoga instructor and you ask if a certain stretch could help your back pain. Maybe she has an eye for interior design and you send her 2 photos of your new apartment asking which color feels more calming. Whatever it is, it should be real interest, real relevance. When done right, this type of message activates the part of her that remembers what it felt like to be appreciated by you, not for how she made you feel emotionally, but for who she is and what she knows. That opens doors flattery never could. And finally, there's the inside joke, still alive message. You and her had moments, strange, hilarious, wonderfully useless little pieces of your shared world that made no sense to anyone else. Maybe it was a man who walked his cat in a stroller past your building every morning. Maybe it was a woman who yelled inspirational quotes at traffic. These things, these weird and beautiful inside jokes, weren't just funny. They were yours. That's what makes this message powerful. Because when you send something like, "Ran into the guy with the pineapple hat today, still hasn't upgraded," you're not just bringing up a memory. You're reviving an emotional thread, one that's been dormant but not broken. It doesn't require explanation. It doesn't require her to engage. But if she smiles, even for a second, the connection has already done its work. What these examples have in common is their emotional clarity. They are soft invitations, not emotional demands. They are rooted in moments that feel light, real, and safe. And in a world where most reconnection attempts are clumsy, heavy, or too soon, these messages offer her something rare, a glimpse of the version of you she once trusted, unguarded and warm. You're not here to impress her. You're here to remind her of what you both used to feel before things got complicated. And if done right, these little messages, whether funny, thoughtful, or familiar, can bypass her defenses completely. Not because they ask for much, but because they ask for nothing and offer everything that matters. Part 4. What comes after that first message? So she replied. Maybe it was a quick laugh, a casual answer, a spark you didn't expect. Suddenly, your heart is racing, the silence is broken. The door feels cracked open, and everything in you wants to push it wide. You want to dive in, say more, ask more, reconnect faster. But this is the moment where most men lose the very thing they just regained: momentum. Your goal isn't to rush back into a relationship. It's to rebuild a rhythm, one that flows, not forces, one that mirrors the early days when connection was effortless. Think back to that beginning. You didn't talk about labels. You didn't analyze feelings. You just laughed. You flirted. You enjoyed being in each other's presence without needing to define it. That's the energy you need to return to. Light, playful, unattached. Let her feel that being around you doesn't cost her emotional safety. Keep the conversation short, sincere, and clean. No jealousy. No passive-aggressive comments about who she's been talking to or whether she misses you. No subtle fishing for reassurance. You're not rebuilding through emotional pressure. You're rebuilding through emotional clarity. Let things evolve. Don't rush to meet in person just because she replied. Let the messages stack slowly until it makes sense to meet. Not as a tactic, but as a natural next step. Maybe you suggest coffee. Maybe you'll be near her neighborhood and mention it. Keep it low stakes, no expectations, just a window, not a door. And when you finally do meet, remember this. Don't ask for anything. Don't bring the past. Don't carry your hopes like a weight between you. Bring presence. Bring curiosity. Bring the calm confidence of a man who's not chasing but choosing. A man who knows how to lead with warmth, not want. Because in the end, you don't win her back by convincing her. You draw her back by being the version of yourself she forgot she missed. The one she never had to manage. The one who made her feel light, not heavy. Make her want to be around you. And she'll be powerless to stop herself, not because you pushed, but because you became gravity. Part 5. The core principle. What if all this time you thought you were working to get her back, but the real work was reclaiming yourself? What if the real point of no contact wasn't just to create space for her to miss you, but to create space for you to remember who you were before you started reaching, overextending, and losing yourself in the process of trying to hold on to something that was already slipping? Too many men make the mistake of thinking this journey is about winning her over again. But in truth, it's about winning you back. The grounded, centered version of you that doesn't need to prove, chase, or beg to be chosen. The version of you that leads with calm, not control. That speaks less and listens more. That offers presence, not pressure. Your time in silence, that stretch of space when you said nothing, wasn't wasted, even if it felt hollow at times, even if you questioned it every night, because it didn't just help her let go of negative memories. It helped you let go of the man who kept trying to convince her he was worthy, instead of simply becoming the man who knows he is. This moment, this message you send, this energy you carry, it's not an invitation to start where you left off. It's a reintroduction. And this time, it's not about asking her to meet you halfway, because the man who reaches out with calm doesn't need her to respond. He's not trying to break the door down. He's simply opening a window, allowing light back in, and letting who he's become speak for itself. That's power, quiet, certain, unshakable. That's the man she won't forget. And more importantly, that's the man you were always meant to return to. Summary. If you can make her smile again, not out of obligation, not out of nostalgia, but because something in her softens when she hears from you, that moment matters. It's not just about getting a reaction, it's about reaching something familiar, something untouched by the tension that came later. If you remind her of who you were before the misunderstandings, before the overthinking, before you stopped being present and started trying to prove your worth, she'll notice. Not because you told her to, not because you asked her to see it, but because it shows in how you carry yourself, in how you choose your words, in how you no longer rush to fill silence, but let it speak for you. And if you can hold your center, steady, calm, grounded, while still offering warmth and connection, something inside her will shift. She may not admit it, she may not even respond at first, but she'll feel it. Because it's not about trying to be noticed, it's about becoming the kind of man who naturally commands attention, not with volume, but with depth, with clarity, with quiet certainty. That's what leaves a mark. That's what lingers when the message fades. That's what reawakens something real, not just in her, but in you. Thank you for being here. Truly. If this message brought you clarity, hold on to it. Carry it forward with intention. When you're ready, take the next step. Like the video, subscribe to Stoic Station, and explore more. I'll be right here when you return, steadier, stronger, and one step closer to the person you were always meant to become. You've got this.